I am your host, Tyese. Welcome back. I thank you all for showing up and joining in for the show. To watch us live, www. Oh, that's too many W's. www.coyotemanonline.com/live. Now, if you miss a live, I always tell you can catch a replay at www.coyotemanonline.com/Tyese show. And also make sure that you download the network. You can do that on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, even on your mobile app, so you can see us all over. Never an excuse, okay, to Mr. Tyese show. So we're going to get started. You know how we always talk about some news. We're going to cover a news topic today. And then also I have a guest that's really like a co-host today. And I have something different and something special for you today. She is actually going to talk about her life. Okay, so she's going to be very transparent. She's going to bear all. Okay, you know how the tagline for the show is what we do for therapy. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are really catching all of the nuggets that she puts out there. Get your key takeaways, okay? You're going to learn some things. And my host, guest co-host, I'll say co-host today, her name is Shonda Pfeiffer, the beautiful Shonda Pfeiffer. All right, so thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. This is going to be a very interesting show. And I want to say that chat, come on www.coyotemanonline.com/live, and what you can do is hit the chat, okay, type a question, and we'll get it. We can talk, okay, be interactive. So let's get started. So now with the news, we all know that in this country, gun violence has continued to be on the rise. So my news topic today is that in Colorado, there was a mass shooting, and in a mass shooting there was 5 people that ended up dead, and they're up now to, last I looked it was 18. Wow. Well, it was 18 people injured, but now the last I looked they were up to 25 people that they know were injured in this mass shooting. Wow. It was at a nightclub. Mm-hmm. And the club was a gay or is a gay club. Mm-hmm. Now they haven't said as to whether or not it had to do with hate. Okay. Was it a hate crime? Right. The investigation is not complete, so they have not rendered that as the truth yet. Mm-hmm. So, but the shooting is happening all over the place. Even like we're here in Baltimore, Maryland, right. And the murder count is up to it's up to close to 300 now. And I remember years ago when like 100 was a lot. I remember being younger, hearing like 100 people. By the end of the year, about this time. And in December, you'll start to see how many people have died of shootings. And I just remember like a little over 100, and that just seemed like so many people. And now we're pretty much tripling that. And that's not just in Baltimore. This is all over. Also, Virginia, and I'm going to get my glasses here. Virginia had a mass shooting. 4 people were shot, none injured, and that was on the 18th. And on the 13th, before that, also in Virginia, in another city, there were 3 people shot and killed, and 2 people injured in that shooting. And then also, now when I looked up as well, the different mass shootings in different states, I also saw how there's gun homicides have also increased. So homicides, gun homicides are up 70%. Now this is from 2011 to 2020. Okay, so 70%. That's
It's a
a
lot.
that's a huge
Lot. Yeah, it
increase.
is. It's a lot.
That is scary.
Yeah.
Okay, that's scary. And then even as well, I saw the numbers for suicide by firearm.
Mm.
Okay, up 59%. 59%.
Mm.
Also incredibly sad. So we, these numbers are not going down anytime soon.
Mm.
And we have to be aware of really a way to find out really why the increases, why gun violence is so prevalent, you know
Mm.
some there's so much division, that there's so many opinions as to why. Like, for instance, some people say, well, it's politics. The gun laws are not hard enough. Okay, there's not enough consequences, and punishment when person, when someone is caught with a gun, or someone goes somewhere, and it's a mass shooting, they shoot
Mm.
up the place, and there's not enough consequences. Or also, there are just too many guns on the streets. And in quite a few cities, there will be that gun buyback that they do a couple of times a year.
Mm.
I've never really believed in that, or that it worked. Like, are they really taking? I know they'll take back a gun.
Right.
The police set this up, and they'll take back a gun, no questions asked,
Mm-hmm.
and even give money for the gun, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you really think that works? I mean, what's your opinion about that?
Well, it's so much going on in the world today. As you know, mental health is on the rise. People are suicidal and they really don't know what to do. I believe that once COVID set in and the world shut down for that short amount of time, it really messed a lot of people up mentally,
Mm-hmm.
because they weren't
Mm-hmm.
prepared. We weren't prepared for that.
Right.
Nobody was. Once we got through that, um, a lot of people got more fearful. you know, you have a lot more heinous crimes that's out there now, where
Mm-hmm.
people are taking other people's life, innocent people are dying. So people are more fearful and afraid now than what they were just even 6, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they believe maybe if I have a gun, that will protect me, but that's not true. That's just not true in certain situations, because you have to educate yourself if that's going to be the case. And a lot of people don't. They buy the gun off the street. They'll get it from somebody that they know, or so they don't know how to use guns properly. Not saying that's the right way to go. That's a part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But we're definitely going to have to come together as a nation and pray and keep our open ears keep our ears, to each other, to listen, and eyes open to figure out a solution and to pray, because we really need help. Because like
Mm-hmm.
you said, it's not getting no better, it's getting worse.
Yeah, there's so many factors that come about when in crime, as the reason why crime happens in the first place. And I know when I was in school, because I did go to school for criminal justice, and the associates and the bachelors, and we had to read some horrific stories as to crime, overall. But we also studied, like, crime theories, like, why does crime happen?
Mm.
And there's several theories,
Right.
as to why, but some are, for instance, labeling,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that when a person is young, like even from childhood, whatever the parents or the influences around them say that they are going to be, is what the person will become. Okay. So, for instance, if you're talking to a child and you're saying things like, I wish I never had you, you're never going to amount to anything, different things like that. And then maybe they're seeing violence in the household. Maybe there's domestic violence going on. They're seeing that, they're not seeing any type of conflict resolution. They don't, there's just anger, then this is what they're going to learn. Okay, so that's one theory. Also, another theory is as to why crime happens in the first place is how are we basically weighing in on the pros and the cons. So people do this when they make really any type of decision. Okay, so whether or not someone decides to commit a crime is going to depend on what the advantages are versus what the consequences may be.
Absolutely.
Okay. Right. So that is another theory as to why crime happens, because people will weigh those out and they'll think in their mind it'll be more advantageous for them to get whatever it is they're trying to get, whatever the goal is, to kill a certain person, to not care, and a mass shooting like what happened in Colorado and Virginia. But whatever those advantages are for them, they're outweighing that versus the consequences. Or it's just the consequences, of course, not getting, hoping that they don't have to pay the consequences and not getting caught.
Yeah.
But there's so many different reasons. And you have so much division when it comes to religion, when it comes to politics, okay, when it comes to law enforcement, even how we're running our communities, how we're running the school system.
Absolutely.
Okay. But each of these is a factor in why crime happens and how we can reduce the crime rates. So it seems that you have so many groups that are unable to get together, okay, and come up with some real solutions.
I know for a fact society today is not like it used to be. Okay, one, they took the fear of God out of the home, out of the school. They took structure out of the home, out of the school. People don't believe in family morals no more. They don't believe in discipline anymore. And it starts within the home. You understand? Exactly. As what I'm saying, if us as a society, if we're messed up mentally, jobs, you don't have jobs are leaving now. You know what I mean? People are looking for a way out and for an answer. You understand what I'm saying? People have been on their jobs for years. They go to work, they don't have a job no more. They're losing their livelihoods.
Right.
And so it's hard now. You understand? It's even more harder for people that are married now more than ever before, because there are no more family values or structure. It used to be a time where we sit at the table and eat dinner, cook dinner, and talk as a family and get to know each other. You don't have that no more.
Right.
Because that is gone, is in the music, is in the way that the children act, how we act. So until we go back to God, until we get back together as a community, even the love has left the community. You know what I'm saying? Because they're killing and they're robbing, because people just want to know, how do you get out? Which way is the way out? You can't even go to church no more. The building. Because you got a lot of people that are mentally messed up. So it's a lot of stress on everybody now. And when you take out God as one, and when you take out structure as two, what are you gonna have? You have children raising children, parents. So it's a lot. I could talk about. It's just a lot that's really going on now, and I believe that has a lot to do with it. The way society is shaped now, what's going on now. It's not the same anymore.
Right.
Family dynamics, family structure. You can't discipline your child anymore. You can't talk to them about life hardly anymore. Everything is wrong. Now they want you to befriend your child, and that's why these children they just messed up. They don't have the family dynamic and structure is not in place anymore the way that it used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there are so many different signs.
Yes.
But people are not seeing them as to what is going on with someone who commits, a mass murder or some type of gun violence. There's signs. There are signs. whether it be them being withdrawn
Mm-hmm.
for a while before it happens, antisocial behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
anger that's not being addressed. And there's a foundation and a reason for all of these things that are happening. And like you said, it starts in the home.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If the family structure if there is no structure,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and the parents or whomever is raising, this child is not instilling in them the proper values,
Yes.
the proper morals, so that their beliefs are shaped and formed,
Mm-hmm.
okay, in a manner that is in line with God, then you don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely,
raising a child is like having a garden.
Yes. Yes.
You gotta pour the water.
It's a lot of hard work.
You gotta pour the water in.
Yes, you
know
do.
what I mean? You got
Yes.
you gotta take care of the dirt. You gotta
Yes.
do the roots, the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And if the foundation is not strong, well, then you're talking about a child that more than likely will grow up to be an adult that needs to be repaired.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you mentioned children being raised like their parents' friend.
Yes.
And that is a huge problem.
Yes,
And I
it is.
know, like, we're talking about gun violence, crime, violence as a whole, but this is where it starts. It starts
That's
in
right.
the home. I had and not the first time. I had a client of mine, in mental health counseling. I had a client of mine recently, young woman in her 20s, recently told me that she wishes her mother did not treat her as if they were best friends. Like,
Wow.
they grew up
Yes.
together, is what she
Yes.
said.
Yeah.
She said now, I mean, she's in her late 20s, they're friends, they can talk, they go out shopping, things like that, but they're still surface friends. They do not discuss anything that has to do with her concerns, challenges, issues with things like depression, anxiety. Her mom just says to her, "Oh, girl, get over it. It's okay. You'll be all right. It's not that serious. You don't have to be stressed like that. It's just not that serious." And then moves on to another topic. And then when she was a child, because one reason really because her father was not in the situation like he should be,
Right.
and she was the oldest child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, her and her mother had that friend relationship versus her mother being a mother to
Mm-hmm.
her. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then she had to help take care of the other three
Wow.
children, so she had to
Yes.
grow up
Yeah.
too fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have these issues that are happening with young people, and then it moves on to a juvenile adolescence that is really struggling to find their way.
Yes.
And then they may latch on to the wrong group, the wrong crowd, because they're looking for love, they're looking to fit in, they're looking for that type of bond and that relationship that they did not get from home.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're talking about a person who from then may commit crimes because they really still have not learned who they are.
Right.
They have not been they have not personally developed, in a manner where there is self-love, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-regulation. They know what's right and what's wrong, but that's not what they're doing. Because it's a cry out
For help.
It's a cry for help.
Yeah. I've never seen in my lifetime, the millenniums, let me talk about them for just a second. They're dealing with a whole lot. I've never in my life seen so many young people from the age of 17 up to 25 that's running a household. I mean, they're taking care of their parents. Either the mom's on drugs and the father's locked up, or mom's locked up, or dad's on drugs. And it starts within the family. You understand? In the bloodline. If you have a history where my grandmother was on drugs and lived in the hood, then that passed down to my mother. That's all they know. So they become hurt. And a lot of these millenniums, they're looking for parents. They're not looking for friends. Versus to when I'm going to go back then. And they always say, why do you always say that, Shonda? Because the 80s and 70s and 90s were different times. Even though whether you came from a single parent home or a family parent home, you had those young people that were troubled, but not as much as now. You understand what I'm saying? If you were a single parent, you had that help from your aunt or your sisters, especially if you came from a big family and you guys were close knit. The neighbor was able to tell you, oh, you need to stop doing that and go sit down. So now we don't have any more examples because you have people, you have women and men in my age bracket from the age of 45 to 60 that still think they 25 and 30. So you have these millennials saying, how do you expect us to respect y'all, our elders, when y'all are not being an example or showing that example to us? I teach. So children most of them, 55% to 85%, they mimic what they see. You understand? So now, this is 2022. How many young women are single parents from the age of 12 up to 25? 25 years old with 4 kids, 4 different baby daddies. That's all they know. So when a real man comes along, if they meet someone, they don't know how to love because they've never been shown love. They've been hurt. So it's walls, it's layers of things that we have to work on. You know. So we don't have no more examples no more. You know what I mean? And these young people feel like if they 20 from the age of 12 to 25 and their parents are 45 and 50. And now there's nothing wrong with going out. Grown and sexy. But they going to the club. My mother's hanging with my friends. Or you have a mother that's sleeping with her son's friends. It's a lot of that's going on. And that's why these young people messed up. Or that young man that has to stand on the corner and sell drugs and take care of a whole entire family. Grandma. And that's all they know. So what they do, they get in survival mode. And it's easy to say what you won't do when you never had to go through certain things. So it's hard. You know, it's really hard. And I have a compassion for young people now because they didn't have it like we had it. They hard. They really, some of them, they don't have parents. They still trying to raise themselves. And now they got to raise a family. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
A big problem that's going on is that that it really is a vicious cycle. You know, because again, it starts from childhood.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you have a child that's going through, and it really doesn't even have to be something as serious as, it doesn't have to be just drugs or just alcohol, you know, that's going on in the household. If the child is, say, like, the child can be in even a 2-parent household, both parents working, okay? But if there's financial issues where the money is just not enough, okay, now you have parents that are working 2 jobs. Then you have kids at home that are practically raising themselves.
Exactly.
Okay, so with the parents not being there like they really should be there, they're not emotionally there, they're not physically there like they should be, then you have the child that has the child and or children that have to fend for themselves.
And that's the worst. I want to say anywhere from 89% of children who are raised in the 2-parent home. Not all, but this is what I believe, 89%. It's like when you have 2 parents that are working, they have good jobs. They give the child everything, but there's no love there. This child is watching y'all go at it and argue because you're painting a picture. So they're living in a false world and they have a false reality and they saying to themselves, Mom, all I want is some attention. Oh, they come home from work and the first thing they do, they go in their room, go get you something to eat. There's no more sitting down at the table no more. There's no more family time no more. Or even if you just sit down and ask your child, how was your day today? Or what did you do today? There's no more of that because everything is a speedball thing now. Everything is the cell phone. Everything's electronics. Everything is that. So that's one of the problems. And, you know, they may get it. They may have the name brand clothes or tennis shoes, but they're not happy. They're not getting the attention that they need. Yes, you're working and all the bills are being paid, but that child is still lonely.
Exactly. You can't replace love with
No, you
material
can't.
things.
You definitely can't do
Okay,
that.
and parents do that a lot.
Oh, yes.
You know, and parents will say things like, "Well, I want my child to have things that I didn't have. Well, I don't want my child to have to go through the things that I went through." However, you do need to make sure that you are active in your child's life. You have to know what they are going through from day to day. Parents want to act like children don't get stressed. They're dealing with bullying, okay? They're dealing with not getting enough love and affection, so the anger is coming out. It could be even things like maybe they need help with their homework, things like that. But there's ways that parents are not there for their kids, and then you end up raising a child that needs to find their way, and you do not want society to help them with that. No.
No, you don't.
You don't.
There's no book on how to tell you how to be a parent.
Right.
Whether it's a 2-parent household or a 1. But us as parents, when you can acknowledge your wrongdoings and you can say, hey, look, let me sit back and see what the problem is in me and try to do the work to work on me and ask God to help me and open my heart and sit down and talk to my child and see what's really going on with them. Because we haven't always done that. I know I haven't. You understand what I'm saying? So us as parents, we have to take accountability. Us as elders, we have to take accountability. So where did we go wrong at?
Right.
What did we do wrong? We can't always throw the rock and hide the hand. It starts with us first. And I believe once parents and older people start taking accountability for what's going on in our households and with our children, whether they grown a little, then it would get better.
Right.
But it's going to take 1 minute, 1 day. It's going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight, but you got to keep working on it.
Right. Right. And see, this is why we see an increase in the numbers of juveniles that have to be put into detention. Prison rates going up. And it's like I said, it's a whole circle.
Yeah.
It's a continuum, and it's not getting any better. Why? Because the powers that be are not coming into, all the key players are not coming to the table together. There's so much dividing everyone as to my religion is this, I praise this, I do this, that, and then you have politics. Well, I'm a Democrat. Well, I'm a Republican. Well, I don't want to hear what you have to say. Well, I don't want to understand what you have to say. It's not. There's no one is coming together. And then you have mental health. That in criminology and that is saying, well, you need to look into what happened when this person was a child.
Right.
Now you know why they're going out and shooting places up.
Absolutely.
If you go back and see what is going on. But all of these types of opinions as to what the problem is, no one is actually coming together and putting aside that that they worship differently, or that they're Republican or independent versus Democrat, and all the key players are not willing to come together and to make decisions that are really going to matter, and to bring about laws that actually are going to be enforced properly and that really mean something. One thing I just do not agree with is certain gun laws. They want to take guns off the streets, or say that there are these big projects to take guns off the streets, and they change the laws and things like that. But the guns that they're talking about taking away are typically in the hands of people who are responsible with these guns.
Yeah.
Okay, it has nothing to
And look
do
at what,
with someone mass shooting.
And look at where the guns are. A lot of guns are in our African American neighborhoods, okay? And the government, they just about $1.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to do the right thing anymore. I've never in my life seen it's good to do the bad thing.
Right.
You get criticized for doing the right thing. and for being real. But if you would agree with them, and if you was about the money, if you was about the bling bling, and about, oh, it's about doing whatever you want to do that makes you feel good, then they wouldn't have no problem with it. But as soon as you take a stand for what's right, that's when you become the enemy. And what's right is not standing anymore. It's what's wrong.
Right.
Meaning, oh, it's okay just to go and take somebody's life. I'm just paraphrasing now. Everything is being praised that's wrong. You understand?
Right.
So that's a lot to do with it.
Crime is often
sensationalized. It's in the rap songs. It's in the dance. It's in the videos. It's okay for a man to call a woman a B word. It's okay to
Family
just act ratchet. It's okay to be. It's okay to be hood 24/7. That's the day and time we're living in now.
Just dysfunctional families.
Yes, dysfunctional families.
So we're going to take a break, a pause for the cause. We're going to go to commercial, and we will be back. The Tyese Show News and Ooze, and you make sure you come back with us.
We must secure our families. KFG Life Insurance Specialist is a company that partnered with 15 of the top life insurance companies to ensure you get the best pricing, knowledge, and products to suit your family needs. Some people believe that term insurance is better than whole life insurance, while others feel the complete opposite. Some may feel like universal life is the way to go, and others may feel it's better to have a whole life policy. The truth is, neither of the products are better. One just may be more suitable for your family. Our life insurance specialists are not biased, as they are partnered with several life insurance companies. This ensures our clients get the best pricing, education, and products that are suitable for their families. Let KFG Life Insurance Specialist make these decisions easier for you and your family. Our office is located at Security Square Mall, next to Burlington, in the Coyoteman Show Network. Please call to make an appointment at 443-400-5224 or go to www.lifeinsurancepecialist.org. That's www.lifeinsurancepecialist.org. Let KFG Life Insurance Specialist help you prepare your family in the present, because the future is not promised. Act now.
Welcome back to Tyese Show News and Ooze. I am here with my co-host today, Miss Shonda Pfeiffer, and we were talking about different violence that's going on, gun violence and crime in general. We're going to wrap that up, but what we're saying is that really that there needs to be a communion of sorts of different power players getting together so that true laws and resources are created for people to get the help that they need so that we reduce the violence that is going on, these mass shootings. We need to get to the foundation of really why it's happening in the first place, which starts in a home. So now what we're going to do is go into, I'm going to be asking Ms. Shonda some questions, and she's going to tell you about her life, okay? She's going to be pretty transparent. I want you all to stick with us. You're going to learn some things, okay? All right, so Miss Shonda.
Yes, ma'am.
All
yes,
right,
ma'am.
so in getting to know you, what made you want to come to the show and discuss your life? This is the first segment that I've had like this, which I very much welcome it. But
it was very important to me to get my story out because of what's going on in society today. You have a lot of broken young people that's out there, and I love to mentor young women and men. So if my life and my trials and tribulations and what I've gone through in my life can be a blessing and help to somebody else to help bring them out, then that's what I'm pushing towards. You understand? To let somebody know if God brought me through it, he can do the exact same thing for you.
All right. Amen. And you mentor young people, and then you're also a teacher as
Yes,
well.
I am a teacher. Yes, I'm a pre-K teacher. Yes.
Pre-K.
I teach pre-K. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
You got the babies.
I love the babies. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what your age demographic was there.
3s and 4s.
Oh.
I love the babies. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I love that. I love the older ones, but I adore the babies. It's so sweet. Yes.
Oh no! Oh my goodness! Now, what do you see as being, some things that are really going on, with that age group, the 3s and 4s, that's.
Well, when they're that young, you can teach them. They're very bright, they're very smart, and they like to mimic. So you can be very creative, educational wise. Okay, as far as being in the arts, music, dance, whatever it may be, you could be real creative with the 3s and 4-year-olds, and that's why I love them. They can talk, they learn fast. The way you teach them is how they're going to come out to be, whether it be good or bad. I just love working with the babies, the little ones.
Yeah.
Because you can mold them into the men and women that they need to be, and that could be good or bad. And we want it to be in a good way. Yes. So I just love working with them. They're precious, they're young, you could teach them. And they're much easier to teach. I just love the young kids.
Yeah. I think people oftentimes don't think about how much kids are able to learn.
Oh, yes.
At those ages.
Yes, they are.
And like child psychologists say that we learn the most between the ages of 3 and 7.
Yes.
So their teachers, of course, their parents, other influences, other family members have a vital, play a vital role in their lives into any of their learned behaviors. Yes. Intellectually, and just beginning to shape who they're going to become as a person.
Yes.
But they're able to absorb so much like a sponge.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna give you, for instance, my niece. I had her for a little bit. Her name is Avea, and she was so girly. Everything was dramatic. And I said, she would say, "Are you okay, Auntie?" I said, "I'm okay. Are you okay?" She said, "Yes, I am." "How was your day today?" I said, "It was fine." I said, "Well, how was yours?" She would tell me if it was good or bad. I just love that. So, those are the type of things. And then if you ever have down days or feeling down, they know how to make you feel good. Right. You know what I mean? They know, they just precious. Precious. It's precious.
Yeah, little kids have discernment
about
them.
They really do.
They can feel, good energy. They can feel the bad.
Yes, they can. Yes,
and they act accordingly.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
But let's get to the nitty, the gritty, the good, the bad, and the ugly. As to some things that have happened in your life. So give me or give us a bit of as far back as you can remember, some things that happened in your childhood.
Well, I was sheltered. I was a PK kid. I grew up.
PK.
Yes, PK kid. I grew up in
in
Atlantic City. I'm from Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Okay.
I grew up in an area called Chelsea Heights, around all Italians. And yes, they were, and I loved it because one thing, and I would study Italians because they were like a family. Italians are very close, tight knit, and if they love you, they embrace you. But they so real. Everything was just so aggressive. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. And you couldn't wear your feelings on your shoulder because they didn't care. But anyway, I just grew up around love. My mom was a very, I would say, alpha female. And what I mean by that is I was raised in a very spiritual, God-fearing, structured home. Everything was black or white. I'm not saying that was right, but the way my mother raised me, she taught me how to be a woman. Okay. My mother started talking and teaching me about what it was to be a woman at 9 and 10, 11, 12 years old. I was my mom's First girl, third oldest. So I had to know how to cook, clean. Me and my mother were friends, but she was still my mother. My mother died when I was 26 years old.
And you were very young.
I was very young. I had one daughter at that time. My daughter was 3. 6 months to a year before my mother died, she said, promise me if anything ever happened to me, you'll take care of my baby. And I said, Mom, she said, no, I need you to understand and I need you to be in place. That if something ever happens to me, I can entrust you to be there for your younger siblings. And I said, Mom, you got that. I'll be there for my siblings. When my mother died in my arms, we were living in Baltimore. I had to be strong when I didn't want to be. You understand? I had to be the one to call home and tell my others. At that time, I had 2 brothers and 4 sisters, and let them know Mama's gone. My mother was a mentor. My mother was well respected in the neighborhood and in the church world. Extraordinary woman with values and morals. And my mother would always tell me, Sean, it's not what you do, but it's how you do it. You understand?
Right.
She said, because you got to remember, as you being the oldest girl, people are looking at you. Your younger siblings are looking at you. So I always had to carry myself a certain way. At that time, I was living in Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. I stayed in the county, Randallstown for some years, and Reisterstown. But I want to say my reality hit when I lost my apartment in the county and had to move to the projects, 1997. And see, I was that girl, thought I was better. You know, our hair was pretty, and I would never do that. I would say what I would never do, not knowing I was going to be that girl to have to go through that. You understand? So you're looking at a young woman at the age of 27, 28 years old, moved to the projects in Baltimore City. I had my baby sister at that time who was 18, and I had my daughter and my son. My son was like about 7 months. My daughter had about 3 or 4. I never thought in my life that I would ever use drugs. I never thought that I would ever smoke cigarettes. I never thought, you talking about a preacher's kid, somebody that came from a good upbringing, that sang, that recorded, that traveled. But when my mother died, reality hit. I didn't know, I no longer had that covering, but I knew what she put in me. You understand?
Yes.
She put the fear of God in me. The first time I ever experienced drugs was at the age of 29. I started lacing dope in my weed. Okay? And I was what you call a functioning addict. I became a functioning addict. So in school and in college, I took drama. I took acting, so I knew how to act the part. I knew how to look the part. I knew how to dress the part. So if you had never experimented with drugs, you would never know I was getting high. Okay? I was what you call a weekend type of woman that got high. Went to work, took care of my kids. My kids at that time would go with their godmother on the weekend, so that was my time to get high. I'm in a young lady, and I started. And it became a habit. Another part of my life I never thought I would. I was a phone sex operator. I would get on the phone because I had to survive. I had to keep up my livelihood. So at that time, I'm in a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. This is when I was living in the county, and I'm raising a teenager, a 14-year-old, and I'm 27, and a 4-year-old. So I have to pay bills.
Right.
My teaching salary wasn't paying all my bills, so I had to do what I had to do.
Okay, so you were in the county with Mom.
With Mom, and when Mom
And
died,
when she passed away,
I
you
stayed.
had to move into the city.
The city didn't come,
projects.
the projects didn't come along to 5 years later. I was able to stay in the county
Okay.
and maintain paying bills, doing what I had to do. At that time is when I became a phone sex operator, and I had to do some things to make extra money to pay that rent at the time, because I was paying, like, this is back in the 90s, so my rent was like $695 plus utilities. So I was just trying to stay afloat. I got pregnant with my son. Went out. Someone raped me. got pregnant with my son. And who was I going to tell? Because I went out on a date with this guy. Had money, so I got pregnant with my son.
So how old were you when you were raped?
I was 29 years old.
29. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this incident happened in my house. He took me out. This guy had money, older guy, not knowing he didn't look like that type because he was dressed very well.
And there you go. Right.
So he took me out to a very 5-star restaurant. We went out to eat. He took me home. Gentlemen. So as we walking towards the door, I said, okay, good night. He comes in. Pushes me through the door.
Pushes you in. Okay, so you weren't even
I wasn't even invited. No.
You know.
We went out, what it was, and that was what it was. So getting it violent, I said, you really going to do this? You're really going to do this? And he was an African. He said, yes, I am. I said, can you leave? So at the end of the day, I didn't know if I was going to keep my son or what. But I'm glad I did. Had my son. I had to get ready to move because I wasn't able to work. Because come to find out, my son had a disability. He was mentally delayed and mildly retarded. So it was something wrong with my son, so I had to have him tested. So with that going on, I just lost everything. Long story short, moved to the projects, was there for a year.
Okay. God
made a way where a close friend of mine came and got me. I went to go stay with them. And that was my best friend of 44 years. And they covered me. My oldest brother had gone to them and said, I need you to go get my sister. And I would get mad, but it was just certain things they weren't used to seeing me doing. That wasn't my lifestyle. I wasn't a street person. You understand what I'm saying? So with all that, I say this. With everything that I've gone through, God kept me.
Right.
He kept me.
Right. Well, you know he looks out for babies.
Oh, he looks out for babies. And
you wasn't no baby.
Oh, I wasn't no baby. I'm grown. And then in my 30s, I knew my mental health. Something wasn't right, but I didn't know because I was putting holes in walls and
because of anger.
I was angry. I never grieved, got a chance to grieve when my mom passed. I went and saw the hurt. I carried that for years. I didn't know how to move on. Until my girlfriend said, she said, you know what, Shonda, you need therapy. Because, I was walking around like I was just a soldier.
Right.
You know.
Well, you had to be. You had to be strong.
You know, But I became too strong. You know, I was too strong. So I didn't know how to love. I was always in attack mode, 24/7. You say something to me the wrong way, I was ready. I was always screaming, always on 1,000. And I knew it was something wrong. I got tired of that. And I'm like, that's why I didn't have a husband. I couldn't be in serious relationships because I was messed up. But when I look back over my life and I think things over, I can say, God, I thank you because he gets the credit for that. You know. So, yeah, I just wanted to give just a little piece of my story of some of the things that I've gone through. I've experienced a lot of death. Within the past 7 years, I have buried people that were very close to me, dear to me, that helped me get through the dark times in my life. I buried a sister and a brother within 9 months apart. And it won't be a year for my sister until February. So me and my family were still grieving through that. So what I had to do was do the work. I said, I can't be an example for my nieces and nephews or help them when I'm messed up. When I'm walking around here acting out and always talking and being me, I had to work on me. So that's what I'm doing.
Right.
And that's why I want to be that one to help the young women or different young men that God sent in my life or placed in my life to be able to be a blessing to them and help them spiritually and mentally get through some things. As an example, I have to be an example. And that example starts with me. And I promised myself I wasn't going to be a hypocrite. I was going to work on me. So that's what I'm doing.
And that's what you're doing. Now, you mentioned your mom, okay?
Yes.
You talked about your mom. You had your mom until your 20s. Now, where was your father?
My father was in my life all the way up until I was 12 years old. And my father died when I was 12 from cancer. He died from cancer. I was 12 years old when my father passed. You know, my father was in my life. He was there. He loved us. And he died when I was 12 years old. Okay.
So now, how long were you helping to raise your siblings?
Well, at that time, when I stepped up, with that type of responsibility, I was 12 years old. You know, back then, that's what you had to do: iron school clothes, help get them up. You know what I'm saying? And I was like the clock. So I love getting up. I love school. So I had to wake my other siblings up. You know what I'm saying? Those were things: clean the house. I had my first job when I was 12 years old. You know, so I had a lot. Yeah, back then you could work. We had to go get working papers. You know what I mean? And my mother said, Shani, you always work and keep a job. By the time I was 18, I had a savings and a checkings account. I'm going to put it to you this way. By the time I was 18 years old, I knew how to run a whole house.
I hear.
I knew how to cook. I knew how to pay bills. I knew how to do all of that. And as I got older, I didn't know how to put a stop to it. I didn't know how to stop because that's all I knew was,
Right.
you know.
Right. Right.
You can't stop. You got to go. You got to be strong. And that's good in a way it's not, because you could become so strong to wherein you don't know how to deal with you. You don't know how to deal with your hurt, your pain. And that'll start to show. And I was like, Shani, you really need some help. You got to get it together. Because I didn't get a chance to grieve. I forgot what it felt like to laugh. Forgot what it felt like to enjoy life.
Right.
You know, because I was always working and doing something and taking care of somebody. Yeah.
So never had a chance to grieve. And then also you mentioned how the anger and you know, other different, you know, other characteristics, other traits, other things that were going on with you, other ways that you express yourself was really kind of a repellent for the men. Like you know, really weren't getting or if you were getting involved in a relationship, it really wasn't for you know, a real period of time.
I was in a relationship with my daughter's father for 13 years. I loved him dearly. And he messed me up mentally. What I'm trying to say is that I didn't even love myself. I didn't know what I wanted in a relationship. You understand what I'm saying? So how could I expect him to love me? He was a church boy just like I was. You know, we had our first child together. And I vowed to God, another man would never hurt me the way that he did. I vowed to God. And that's not good. And I held on to too much hurt. That was the problem. I held on to all that hurt. There were decent men that tried to come up and love me. It seemed like the decent ones, I would push them away because I always wanted to be in charge. And I would make them feel bad because I felt bad. I would try to downplay them because I had a low self-esteem. And this is one thing that I always say to young women, because they ask me, you've never been married? I said, no, and I thank God. I said, but I am going to be married because I do believe that God has real men out there for real women. I do believe that. I still believe in love. Because what happens is the good men get the bad women and the good women get the bad men. You have to get in touch with God and yourself first. You have to do self-care and self-love first before you can love anybody. Point blank period. And I had to learn that. 100%. Because us as women, we'll play the blame game. As long as I can be in charge, because see, ain't no real man gonna put up with that. Now, you got to let a man be a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you do.
It's balancing this now. And I always tell young women.
Your head is, let the man be a man.
Let a man be a man. If the Lord send a good man your way, you meet a good man. Let that man love you the way you need to be loved. And I had a wall up. That's why I can talk about that as being a single woman for so long. And I was mean. My sister-in-law said, you too hard, Sean. I was hard. I didn't care.
Yeah, that's
you know, because I was hurt. Like they said, that black woman syndrome. That was me. Black woman syndrome. Oh, yeah, I had it bad.
Yeah, and that keeps men that keeps men away.
And that keeps men away.
At least the right man for any period of time.
Yeah, because when you come off, because when it comes to me, my sister-in-law will always say to me, my girlfriend, my friend will always say, Shonda, you come off as very domineering. Am I saying it the right way? She said, girl, you're dominant, girl. When you walk up in there, you be like, what?
Yeah, alpha female.
Yeah, like ready. And that's not always good. And you know what I tell them? I say, I'm tired of wearing boxes. That's just a figure of speech. I want me a husband. I want me a good man. because I'm a good woman. I know how to cook. I know how to clean. But sometime when you meet that real man, you got to give up an eye for us. It's balance in it.
Exactly.
I'm not telling you, that, but just allow the man to get to know you and you get to know him. But in order to get that part, to that point in my life, I have to do the work like I'm doing now. I'm doing the therapy. I'm working on me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the things because I'm preparing myself for that walk. I'm prepared. You have to prepare yourself. And that's what I'm doing.
Right. You're in the healing process.
Healing
right
process,
now.
Yes, healing, definitely.
Beautiful. And you said the man that you were with for 13 years, you said he treated you bad.
Put it this way, me and his mother. No, I was young and he was young. Okay. And he didn't know how to be a man. You know what I'm saying? He was doing the best he knew how to do. I'm not going to make excuses. And then he was sheltered. You know what I'm saying? So you have two young people, two PK preachers' kids. Don't know nothing about.
PK too.
Yeah, he was a musician, pre-K, definitely. You know what I'm saying? So my mother's preaching, we traveling, he's singing. It just happened fast, you know. And we weren't never able to be in a committed relationship because he wasn't ready and I really wasn't ready. I'm not going to put up, back then, you can put all the blame on a man, but let me talk about me. I was hurt, I didn't love Shonda. I didn't know what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like saying, I'm ready to be in a relationship and you're not. How you going to talk about him and you messed up and you sick? You don't know what you want.
Like you said before, the blame
game. So so what I'm doing, I'm loving God this season. I'm loving my life because I'm doing the work. Finally, at 54, she's not in denial no more.
Hey.
So if I say, if the work can start with me, I can be that example for my family, not just talking, preaching to them all the time, but letting them see my light, letting them see the difference in me. You know what I'm saying? And say she's doing the work. So that's basically it.
So what advice would you give to some, not just women, the people who are struggling, going through the same types of things where, angry, don't know themselves, not even sure of the foundations as to where this all came from, just not self-aware. What is some advice that you would give people?
I would say prayer and therapy and a good mentor. And put yourself around positivity and positive people. Anything toxic, don't even associate yourself with, around that. Because what happens is, what good is it if I'm messed up mentally and I'm trying to heal and I'm hanging around people that are toxic? They suffering from the same thing I'm suffering from. No, I have to get around some positive energy. I got to get around people that are going somewhere. I got to find me some help. I got to get some therapy. A therapist, I don't see nothing wrong with that because, back in that time, they said therapy, you don't need it. Yeah, we need therapy. It's needed. It is needed.
Oh, yes. That was especially in the Black community.
Whether it's a young man or a young woman, especially if you're talking about, and if you're in, that's why we have so many broken relationships.
Oh, yes.
Because we don't know how to work on us. So do the work. Yeah. Let's get some therapy going on and get some help and work on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, do the work.
Yeah, just, in regards to relationships, you'll have couples that will come into couples counseling, but they're not even receiving individual therapy.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, wait a minute now. No, this is not going to work. You got to work on yourself.
Exactly.
First, which is one reason why, like, for instance, you and the man you were with for so long, that you had the problems that you had because both of you needed to heal individually.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And I want to say this also. I was a male basher. Okay.
A male basher.
I'm going to say a male basher. I always had something negative to say about a man. It was always a man's fault. I feel bad for some of these men today. Okay. Because a lot of these women today are messed up mentally and physically, and they're hurt. They don't know what they want. I'm not saying all. So us as women, we have to do the work because we're so fast to stay with that mental abuse, because mental abuse is worse than physical abuse. We'll stay with that man that ain't gonna help us pay nothing, help us do nothing. We'll stay with the negativity But if we do the work that we need to do to love ourselves, to love God, to work on ourselves, to get the therapy to heal mentally and physically, then you attract who you are. That's what my mother used to tell me.
There you go. You attract what you put
attract what you put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I got tired. I'm tired of attracting needy men.
Right.
That's what I would attract.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying all men is like that, but somebody that I can control and tell what to do. And that's going to pacify me. At 54, I don't need no more needy men. I need a soldier.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
I need a king.
There you go. Well,
Yes,
you hear she's single.
Wait a minute now.
I'm messing with you.
I know. That's
All
it.
right. Well, sis, thank you for coming on to
Yes.
the Tyese Show News and Ooze.
I enjoyed it.
And telling us about your life and bearing all. It takes something to get up here and do that, y'all. So I appreciate you so much. We are going to be back, of course, next Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. The Tyese Show News and Ooze. Again, make sure you download the Coyoteman Show app. And this is on your mobile apps. Also, we're on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. We're even on Twitch, Twitter. We even do Facebook Live, Instagram. All right, so we're all over. Make sure you come back. I hope you enjoyed my guest, my co-host today. I enjoyed her, okay? And I hope you got some good nuggets because she was in here teaching some things. But we'll be back next Sunday. Thank you. My name is Tyese, your host.